Welcome to Difference Makers, the podcast that explores people making a difference across planet Earth. I am your host, Joni Readout. On this episode of Difference Makers, I'm here with Tasha Schuh. Tasha is an inspirational speaker who equips youth and educators to be resilient for their mental and emotional health. The four components of her speech path, purpose, attitude, team, and hope, helped Tasha be resilient after a life-changing theater accident at age 16, which left her paralyzed from the chest down. Along with speaking engagements, Tasha has authored 2 books, My Last Step Backward and My Next Move Forward. Tasha and her husband, Doug, reside in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us, Tasha. We're excited to hear about your difference maker experiences.
Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be so much fun.
So to get started, who are the people in your life that have been difference makers, and how have those people been difference makers in your life?
Oh, I have so many. So many, but my family has been huge in my life. Always been really close knit with my family and have really helped me become who I am today. Hardworking, someone with integrity and ethics, and just really has a passion for making a difference. And I learned that. I learned that from my parents. I learned that from my siblings. Also, just many people that I've encountered over the years. Especially in the healthcare field, with a few doctors that really made an impact in my life, some nurses that, and really my OT and PT when I had my accident, because I did not know one other person in a wheelchair, and they were really the ones that helped me learn and also with their experiences to remind me that I could still live a really good life, even despite what I had been through. So many people. I could probably talk about this all day long, but many wonderful people in my life that have helped form who I am today, so that I can attempt and try to make a difference in others.
Yeah, it's those influences, right? Where you can kind of name people and be like, gosh, they did this for me, so then I can gift back and give that to others.
So true. Yes.
Yeah. So as you think about that, how have you been a difference maker in the lives of others?
Well, it's funny because I really didn't set out to be a difference maker, if that makes sense. Like I just I don't know if I can share a little bit about my story
Please.
of my accident. But I grew up in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, small town in rural Wisconsin, and just a normal, typical teenager. I could walk. I was very active in sports and music and theater. I worked at my parents' grocery store here in Ellsworth that they had owned for over 20 years. And like I said, was really involved in music and theater. And so much so that my sophomore year of high school, I got the lead role as Sandy in my high school's musical production of Grease. And honestly, I thought that that was what my life was going to look like going forward. I loved performing. I loved being on stage. I loved acting and singing, and thought that that would be a way that I would be a difference maker in my future, was performance and being on stage. But what little did I know that my life would change drastically the following year during my high school's production of, we were rehearsing for The Wizard of Oz. And this year I was cast as a chorus member. And so I was excited because, being that I wanted to pursue theater, I thought this will be great, because when you have the lead, you're kind of just running around like a chicken with your head cut off. When you have a chorus role, you get to learn the more technical parts of theater. And one of my main jobs of being a chorus member was to help with scene changes.
Mhm.
And to make a very long story short, I was standing on stage helping with a scene change that had been giving us a lot of troubles. And it was pitch black because it was 3 nights before opening night. So we were trying to rehearse as if we were going to be actually in production. And there was just a lot of confusion with everybody that was there because we were down to crunch time. But as I was standing there waiting for my prop to come onto the bridge, or it was on a bridge, it was coming onto the stage. And all I had to do was take my prop off that bridge and go set it on the stage. Well, what I did not know was that bridge was going to be going over an open trap door. And so they, from directly behind me, opened the trap door, but I had no idea.
Mm.
And then someone said, basically, said, "Hey, Tasha, you got to move out of the way," because I was in between the two. And without much thought, I took one step backward. And when I did, my foot went through nothing. When you take a step backwards, you expect there to be floor there.
Yeah.
And when I took that step back, I immediately knew that something was very wrong. And I fell through the trapdoor onto all the way through, landing in the basement of the theater. And I landed on the back of my head, and my body came second, flopping over my head. And the only thing in between was my neck. And so I remember everything. I never lost consciousness. And keep in mind that I had just fallen 16 feet. And so that impact left the only thing in between was the vertebrae in my neck. And so I broke my neck, severely crushed my spinal cord. And like I said, I never lost consciousness. So I remember everything. I remember being so afraid because I couldn't move. I couldn't
Hmm.
feel my legs. But I, like any typical teenager, I thought I was invincible. I
Hmm.
was 16 years old, 1 month away from being 17, and thought there's no way that I could ever, nothing bad could ever happen to me. But I was soon to find out otherwise when I was airlifted to St. Mary's Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, and they did not mince words when I arrived after doing their, uh, analysis and doing all of their x-rays and everything. They just basically told me, "You've broken your neck. You will never walk again. You will be a quadriplegic." And to me, that was such a death sentence. That was I just couldn't believe that this was going to be my life. I was so devastated.
Mm.
And in the following months, I struggled with depression. I struggled with suicidal thoughts. I struggled with so much. I mean, because it wasn't just my body that I lost. My boyfriend broke up with me. My parents' marriage was falling apart. And just so many things. It just felt
Mhm.
like my life had been shattered into a million pieces and that it could never come back together again. And I just kept wondering, why did this happen? Why me? And just feeling like, how could I ever live a life of purpose being a quadriplegic? And so, like I said, I I was in the hospital for almost 6 months, moved home. I went back to school, and I just started, really at the time, my motto was one day at a time.
Mhm.
Because if I would think 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, I would immediately get sucked right back into depression of, my life's over and I'll never be able to accomplish the dreams that I have. And and so I just had to focus on today. That was my biggest thing. And I just started doing that. And I went to college and I graduated and learned how to drive a minivan with my arms. Because I'm a C5 quadriplegic. So I'm paralyzed from my chest down, so I have no feeling from my chest down, no movement from my chest down. I can move my neck, my shoulder muscles, my bicep muscles, and my deltoid muscles, but all 10 of my fingers are paralyzed. And so learning how to do these things just were things that I never ever thought I'd be able to do. And yet I was slowly seeing my life turn around. I was slowly seeing things work out for the better and seeing, hey, like this life is actually worth living. And
Mm.
sometimes it was a roller coaster. Many
Yeah.
days it was a roller coaster. But just like it just started to get better and better. My faith was a huge part of my recovery and just trusting that there was a plan for my life, trusting that I was here for a reason. And and then I went on and got my second bachelor's degree. And then I built my own home. And like all these things just started. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually loving my life now. And I'm so glad I'm here. And things just started to turn around for the better. And then I met my husband in 2012, and we got married a year and a half later in 2013. And and I was crowned Miss Wheelchair USA. I've written two books. I mean, I could just go on all day. And as I was going through all of this, I just thought to myself, I need to share this. Like, I need to tell people. Because when I had my accident, honestly, most people wrote me off. They were like, oh my gosh, her life is over. That's the worst thing that could ever happen. Poor Tasha. And I felt, obviously, felt the same way. But in time, I was like, I need to tell people, because I was on the news. It was all in the newspapers in the Twin Cities area and just all over. And I just thought, you know what, I need to let people know that I'm actually really happy
Mm.
and all of these things that I've been able to do. And as I began to share my story, I began to see what an impact it was making on other people and how people were really encouraged and uplifted. And I just began to realize that we're all going through things. We're all struggling. We all have challenges and the unexpected, and things happen in our lives. And I just love sharing that life is worth living. It's worth it to keep going. And you're stronger than you think you are. Because I would have never thought I could do this. People are like, I could not do what you've done. And I'm like, well, I didn't really get an option. And I just had to decide I'm not going to let this stop me. And so now like you said, I'm an inspirational speaker. We speak mostly to middle school and high school students and educators just because we're really passionate about mental health and suicide prevention,
Mhm.
which with ages 15 to 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death, and it's getting younger and younger and younger. So we're very, very passionate about that. But we do speak to all other groups, organizations, companies. I mean, I think everybody needs resilience. That's what I've learned in my journey is the power of resilience. And so really my message is for any age, but I've just seen I mean, some of the messages that I've
Mhm.
received from kids, just, oh my gosh, I could just cry talking about them, of how my message has impacted them because there are days where I wonder, am I making an impact? Am I helping people? And
Yeah.
it's those messages that I cling to because I know that it is helping people. And I'm so grateful because by me being able to share my story, it fills my bucket. It makes me just love my life even more.
It's awesome. Thinking about like how stories of resiliency can be kind of contagious or like I love the scripture of Matthew. You talk about your faith, and I love the scripture in Matthew about being the light and that
Yay.
we all have the light. And so it's just showing that light and showing the light of God for other people. And through sharing your story, that then impacts and sticks with other people. It's all about the human connection idea.
So true. So true.
But such a cool way to take your like being on stage. Like you're on really big stages now.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Like I thought for so long, like, oh, I'll never get to accomplish my dreams. And yet my husband and I, we still go to theater productions. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, like that could have been me. I really miss it. And then I'm like, wait, think of all the people that your message is way more impactful. But then getting up and acting, like this is the real story. This is not
Yes.
acting. How you're helping people. So I see how it all came full circle. And because before my accident, all I really ever wanted to do was help people. Like I knew inside, I just want to help people. And I didn't know how I could do it. And so it's been really, just so rewarding to be able to do the work that we do. And my husband works with me. We travel together.
Oh,
He's
that's wonderful.
yeah, so we have so much fun, and he um he was a TV meteorologist before we got married, and so he left his job when we got married, and we now do this together with Till 360. We merged with Till 360 about a year and a half ago, and it's just been great. So,
Yes, you are certainly a difference maker and a little bit different than your original plan, but
oh,
certainly a difference maker.
thank you so much. That's my hope and prayer every day, is that I can be a light in this life because there's so much darkness, and I just think, we can get focused on all the darkness, or we can just choose to see that all the good that is still happening, because there is so much good still happening, and that's what I love. I love the name of your podcast, Difference Maker, because we all can be a difference maker. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to be on a stage to be a difference maker. You can smile or ask somebody how they're doing. I mean, just simple ways to make an impact in this life is crucial. There's so many people hurting, and just a simple smile, or can I help you, or how are you doing, can make a huge impact, even save a life.
Yes, that's it. One of the most recent stories is Joe Beckman shared about Patsy when he was a kid. And it was just so cool because she was in the grocery line and she always made him feel special. And it's never, in all the people that I've talked to, it's never big things. It's always things we can control. Everybody has the power. So, it comes more naturally to some people than others. But certainly something that you can learn and grow in.
Totally. And the rewards from it,
Yeah.
like just the rewards, oh my gosh, people are like, how can you love your life? I'm like, if you saw the messages, if you see the letters that I get from kids, and from adults from all ages, it's just
Yeah.
like, how can I not love my life seeing that my message, that my story helped this person who was thinking about ending their life, who was cutting themselves, who was struggling with anorexia. I mean, just all these stories that I've heard, and to know that my message helped them and my story helped them, it's priceless.
Yes, bucket filling for sure.
Oh, yes.
You've mentioned a few habits and attributes, whether it have been from your family that you've learned or things that you possess. But when you think about defining a difference maker, what are attributes you see in people who are difference makers?
Hmm, that is, oh goodness, there's lots. I think a passion to help others. I think integrity, and also just having meaning in your life. Purpose is a huge thing for me
Mhm.
because I really struggled with purpose before my accident.
Mm,
Like it wasn't purpose on what I want to do with my life. I struggled with, why am I here? That was my question. Why am I here? And I think a lot of people would struggle with that also. And that's the first part of Path that I speak about, is purpose,
yes.
because I just want everybody to know that you are here for a reason. And when you believe that, when you believe, I am here for a reason, I'm here to be a light, I'm here to make a difference, is where you can naturally resonate that to others. And so purpose, I think, is another, is having that meaning. And research is even showing the health aspects of living a life of purpose. I mean, recent research is showing that if you have purpose in your life, you're less likely to have sleep problems, you're less likely to have a heart attack, and you're even less likely to die prematurely. So, I mean, this
Wow.
is huge. Like, this is huge of just having purpose. And when we have purpose, is when we can be that light and be that difference maker. And so those are the three things that come to my mind when I think of, I could share all day long,
Yeah.
but I hope that makes sense. But those are the three things that come to my mind when I think about um, um, the attributes of being a difference maker.
I love, I'm a data numbers researchy kind of person. But it is really cool when you think about in really current research around mental health and emotional health, but then the impact that that has on your physical health and how connected it is so amazing to learn.
It is, and we find that so much because I think our culture has been always more so focused on physical health, and we just have no idea how much our mental health, our emotional health affects all of our physical health. And we have to realize that it's all health. We have to
Yeah.
focus on all of it. And so, yes, I love the research part of all of this too, because I've seen it in my own life and I've seen the power of it. But when I see how it lines up with research, it just gets me all excited and kind of nerd out because
Yes. It's
I'm
like
like, it's
proof.
not just me, right?
Yeah, like
There's
I
proof
felt
of it.
this. Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true.
That's awesome. I want to thank my guest today, Tasha Schuh, and all of our listeners, because the real question here today is how will you be a difference maker? How are you a difference maker? Is it some of the same things that Tasha is doing, or maybe something you want to do differently? Remember, you have the ability to be a difference maker for others, and others need you. We all impact people on a daily basis. Why not be a difference maker in the lives of others?